Katie, let's talk about why you're here, and that's the importance of science. 3M is out with its 2019 State of Science Index. It has some interesting findings about the way science is viewed around the world, and this index finds that 87% of people around the globe have a positive view of science, believe it's needed to solve the world's problems. 62% say that the best days of science are still ahead. You're a spokesperson for 3M. And, you know, I think that what's really interesting here is, yes, we know science is really important, but do you think we're lacking the skills to really thrive in jobs around science? This goes back to education, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to this State of Science Index. It's their second annual State of Science report, and I really just wanted to collaborate with my new media company. I'm doing purpose-driven content that will really draw attention to some issues that I think people aren't talking about in this current environment. And you're right. I mean, there's all sorts of things to talk about. First of all, skepticism is up globally when it comes to science and people's belief and reliance on science, and even more so in the United States. And that's a big problem. But as you said, conversely, people are looking to science to solve many of the world's problems. But they really wanted to see how people are viewing science, why their attitudes are the way they are, and how we can actually elevate science and convince people how important it is in terms of solving everyday problems. So you're right, education is really necessary. The number of people going into STEM has declined in terms of women and people of color. I think there's a statistic about the skills gap may leave 2.4 million positions unfilled in science and technology in the future, and that's a huge cost to the country. So it's really interesting to see how people feel about it. And we definitely need people to be more engaged and to get involved in science, because that really is a solution. It's nonpartisan. It transcends politics, and it's the key to solving incurable diseases, climate change, and environmental issues. I mean, it's really, really important. So I'm so happy to kind of emphasize this study.
Well, I think it's really important because, you know, you see technology in so many areas of our lives, changing the way we work, changing the way we live, and engineering is critical. And we're getting our butts kicked from China. We're getting, others are ahead of us when it comes to engineering jobs, STEM jobs. And that stat that you just mentioned, that the number of people studying STEM declining, that's worrisome.
It is,
because you've got the rest of the world trying to be number one. I mean, China trying to be number one in AI, in robotics. And we need the educating of our people so that Americans can thrive in this new era of technology running every industry and changing every industry.
You're right. And I think that sometimes parents inadvertently give the wrong message to their kids. I know, having two daughters, Maria, I was always very careful to not say, I don't like math, or I'm not a math or science person, and to really encourage them to go into those fields. They ended up studying liberal arts, American studies, like I did, and now they're both writers. But I think that people don't realize the sort of subconscious messages they deliver to their kids. And many people just don't think they're smart enough or qualified enough to go into STEM fields. And we need to, I think, give people more confidence. And another finding I think that's really important is that scientists need to translate what they're doing and make it relatable and understandable to the layperson. So not only the scientific community needs to do a better job, but I think the media, honestly, needs to do a better job, because sometimes they just report headlines. They don't give context or perspective or historical significance in explaining sometimes changing research. And so a lot of people say they're confused about conflicting reports that are coming from science. And I think almost half say they only believe science when it aligns with their personal beliefs. So we have a lot of work to do, I think, in emphasizing how important science is and how important scientists are.
Especially since, you look at the marriage of technology and healthcare.
Oh, yeah.
And how we're getting ahead of disease. We're living longer because, in part because of technology and, semiconductor chips all over the place, tracking everything. March is, I know, Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Katie, this is very important for you. You lost your husband to colon cancer. Tell me about your work in fighting colon cancer, and where are we in this fight, Katie? Because of this, the stats are still terrible.
Yeah,
40,000 Americans getting colorectal cancer every year, right?
51,000 people dying of the disease. It's the second leading cancer killer of men and women combined. So prevention is really the key, and that's something that I've tried to emphasize, as you know, Maria, since Jay died in 1998, that 90% of colon cancer cases can be prevented with early detection. So people need to talk to their doctors about getting screened. Colonoscopy is still considered the gold standard. The American Cancer Society reduced the age to 45, so people need to talk to their doctor about either colonoscopy. It may not be covered because the other GI societies have not lowered the age yet, but they're also less expensive and less invasive alternatives that you can get. And so between my colon cancer efforts and being the founder, one of the founders of Stand Up to Cancer, we have scientists working together, collaborating to try to come up with not only better diagnostic tools, better prevention strategies, but also better treatments, because immunotherapy is so exciting for so many cancers, and it's just starting to show some efficacy in colorectal cancer. So there's a lot of things happening, and that's why we have to continue to support science, because science is the key to curing some of these intractable diseases, not just cancer, but all kinds of diseases. And what's more important than human beings, Maria, right?
Of course, of course. Katie, thank you for leading this effort. Great to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Katie Couric joining us.